Hi everyone, Ms. Desario here. Today we're going to get ready for our video notes for lesson 1.5, focusing on the New England colonies. The objective for today is going to be students will be able to identify economic, political, and social characteristics of the New England colonies. So the New England colonies, if we take a look over to the left-hand side at the map here, consisted of Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, what is now modern-day Maine, but when this map was created, it was called Massachusetts. And New England was established for religious freedom. However, it is important to know that all of the colonies, all 13 colonies, had some similar belief structures. And first, let me get that a little bit of a darker color here. That'll make it easier to see. So there was a strong belief, so in all colonies, there was a strong belief in private ownership. So you had the right to own things, whether that be your land, whether that be free enterprise, a business, that you own your own business. But that was common amongst all colonies. There was also the belief of mercantilism. And this was the trade balance between North America and Europe. So it got to a point where Europe needed North America as much as North America needed Europe. And it was very much a partnership of trade between those two regions. So the Plymouth Colony was created by separatists. Remember, I said religious freedom on the previous slide. And these were pilgrims who wanted to leave the Church of England. So in September, so notice it's the fall, okay, getting cold, especially in New England, of 1620, the Mayflower landed in the Plymouth Colony with 100 men, women, and children. So very different than Jamestown, where we just had 100 men. However, very much like Jamestown the first year, they struggled. So only about half survived the first year. Remember, they landed, it was cold, they couldn't really plant anything. And so the first year was difficult. Until an individual by the name of Squanto, who was a native who spoke English. It's actually believed that Squanto may have been kidnapped at some point in time and brought to England for a period of time before returning back to the Plymouth area, because Squanto did speak English. So he was English speaking. And he was from the Pawtuxet tribe. And he taught the pilgrims how to plant crops. So the following year, in 1621, they had a 3-day celebration for the first harvest. Which is what we see happening right here, is a depiction, a painting of that 3-day celebration for the first harvest. And this is what we call now Thanksgiving. The political characteristics of New England are depicted in the picture here to the left. The picture here to the left is the signing of the Mayflower Compact. And the Mayflower Compact is a very important democracy, or very important document. It is the first written government by the colonists. And they wrote this before they even got off the boat, and everybody there had to sign it as a way to ensure that they would have some form of government, because remember, there was nobody else there when they landed, for the exception of natives, but there were no Europeans there, so there was no known government for the Europeans. And the overall political characteristics of Plymouth were characterized by two things: town hall meetings. So whenever there was an issue, they would get together in the town hall and have a meeting. And it was a direct democracy, meaning that every person got a vote. So direct means that everyone participates. And we're going to talk about a different type of democracy when we talk about the southern colonies, which is more representative of what we have today. The economic characteristics of New England. So really, how did they make their money? What did they do to make money? And you can get a pretty good feel for that if you take a look at the town map over here to your left-hand side. It shows you that everybody lived pretty close together, and everything they needed was very close together too. New England, they didn't really have things very spread out. Now, a couple of things to note here that they would have done is the first is a lot of lumber. You see the woods over there? So there was a lot of lumber, and that was one characteristic of New England. The second characteristic, as you could see here, which looks like little farmlands. The land wasn't good enough to have large-scale farms, so they had a lot of small-scale, what we call subsistence, meaning they really just made enough for them to eat. Oops, sorry. Well, we're going to rewrite that bad boy so it's a little bit easier to read. My apologies. So it was called subsistence farming. Now, one thing you do not see in this picture, but would have been very accurate of the time period, is they typically also were very close to the shore or very close to water. And so another characteristic would have been shipbuilding, because again, they had all the lumber, so they had the means to create the ships. And because they had ships, they also did a lot of fishing. And this would have been the economic characteristics of New England. The social characteristics of New England was very much defined by their religious values. They had what was called a covenant community. And a covenant community is a religious community that is bound together. Because of this religious community, your standing in the community, depending on, how powerful you were within the community, was based on your religious standing. So your religious standing determined your place in the community. Now, one thing that's a little bit interesting about this group is that they came to New England to find religious freedom. However, they were very intolerant of others. So they had a strong belief in their own beliefs, but they did not accept other beliefs. And because of this, a group of dissenters broke off from them. So dissenters would be people that don't agree. And one group broke off, a group of dissenters, to Rhode Island. And established their own community. And that is actually what you see right here happening. This man right here is John Winthrop. He was the governor of the Massachusetts Bay Colony. And John Winthrop is famous for, one, founding that colony, but also for his City Upon a Hill speech that he gave. And this is important because it was an example for others to live by. So in summary, the three areas that we focused on for New England would have been the political characteristics. They set up a direct democracy set up by town hall meetings. The economic characteristics, they were known for small subsistence farming, fishing, and shipbuilding. And finally, the social characteristics, they were really defined by their Puritan beliefs and established covenant communities, which were these religious communities where they were very bonded together and not very tolerant of other or new beliefs.